For a little while there, for a few years, we had the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which was set up after the Great Recession to actually represent you, to represent regular people against the banks and other industries which would abuse them. And we still technically have it, but unfortunately we also have Trump and we have interim director Mick Mulvaney, who is twisting that organization to instead basically work for those banks and to aid them in coming at you while having the veneer of some sort of consumer protection. And so overall, and we've reported on this a number of times over the past year, Mick Mulvaney has worked to make the watchdog agency less aggressive in actually going after banks and various forms of legal abuse. Under his leadership, the CFPB delayed a new payday lending regulation from going into effect and dropped an investigation into one payday lender that contributed to Mulvaney's campaign. Now we also have something that we want to focus on today though. Mulvaney also dropped a lawsuit against an alleged online loan shark called Golden Valley Lending. The suit says the lender illegally charges people up to 950% interest rates. It took CFPB staffers years to build the case against them. I don't yet know why it took years if they're charging that much, but apparently it did, and they were doing that work for years because this company has illegally defrauded thousands of people out of tons of money. And that's what this organization is there to do. It's to find out where these abuses are, to build a case against them, to take them to court and get money back. Unfortunately, it was shut down. And now one of the investigators in that particular case says people are devastated and angry. Just imagine how you would feel if years of your life had been dedicated to pursuing justice and you lose everything. Let alone if you're one of the people that this company defrauded and you did lose everything. And by the way, just in case you were wondering, can you actually charge 950% interest? No, you can't actually charge 950% interest, thus the case.
Now, but before you go on, John, let's just be really clear about that. It violates state and federal law. It's called loan sharking, and it's what the mob does. But I'd be surprised if the mob charged 950%.
No,
because that is so undoable, unpayable. It makes you an indentured servant for the rest of your life. Almost how, no matter how little you borrow, the interest rate will ramp up so quickly that you'll be paying it back the rest of your life. That's why the government doesn't allow it. It allows for gigantic interest rates. So 35% is fairly normal at the state level, and that is an enormous unpayable. I'll give you context. Donald Trump went bankrupt one of the 6 times, because he went bankrupt 6 different times, because he took out too much, he took out loans that had too high an interest rate for the Taj Mahal, one of the casinos he had in Atlantic City. You know what the interest rate was? 14%. A casino that basically prints money, the house always wins, could not pay back a 14% interest rate. These guys charge the average guy a 950% interest rate.
Yeah.
And that is why it is terribly illegal. It could be illegal, but if the government, now run by the crooks, by the robbers, chooses not to enforce the law because they don't believe in the rule of law, they represent the robbers, well then they just got away with it. They robbed all those Americans and there's nothing you could do about it because Trump's in office and he put the criminals in charge.
Exactly, and I mean, we've gone through basically every department at this point where the department has a mission statement, it has a philosophy, something it's supposed to accomplish, and so they go out there and they find literally the person best placed to totally invert, to pervert the point of these departments and instead deploy them to aid corporations and the wealthy and well-connected. So that same investigator, by the way, said that he did believe that had they been able to pursue the lawsuit, it would have been able to get money back for thousands of people that Golden Valley had defrauded. But although we've given you some of the general details, I do want to focus on one particular case because it's pretty egregious. There's a woman, Julie Bonenfant, who said, I was literally facing eviction because I was so behind on my rent and I had no idea where I was going to come up with the money, and it was just really rough. It was just misleading. The way it was presented was this loan with that company. I was going to make 4 large payments and then be done. So she sent NPR a screenshot from the website of what the deal was supposed to be. And it says on her $900 loan, her scheduled payments in less than 12 months would be $3,735. Or more than 4 times what she actually borrowed there. So it looks like she didn't actually get the worst interest rate they hand out. She got like twice as good of a deal, actually. But yeah, they expect that no, you will pay those 4 payments, and then you will continue to pay these huge fines and fees afterward. And it can be incredibly confusing for people, especially people who are desperately trying to make ends meet, who are trying to get money quickly to deal with some sort of medical emergency or something like that. And they prey on exactly those people. Now, Mulvaney apparently, although he won't specifically talk about this, he declined requests for an interview. Statements have been put out saying, oh no, I didn't actually shut this down. I had nothing to do with it. It was just career staffers inside of the organization. But sources inside the organization say no, he actually was instrumental in shutting down this case, as he has been in other ones that we've talked about on the show over the past year. And what's interesting, maybe it's not related, but hey, maybe it is that as a congressman, he took $62,000 plus from payday lenders. So weird that he got paid. I don't know what kind of interest rate he's getting on that money now, but probably not 950%, but I think it might have had an effect.
So my favorite part of this was this quote from the NPR story. After repeated questioning from NPR, Mulvaney's press person acknowledged that Mulvaney was indeed involved in the decision to drop the lawsuit. In other words, we tried to lie to you, pretending that he had nothing to do with it, but you pressed us. Yeah. So, okay, fine, he did it. He took $62,000 from the pay lenders, and these politicians, they're all bought so cheap.
Yeah, that's like nothing.
You get away with God knows how much in fines they would have gotten, tens of millions. I don't know if it would have been hundreds of millions of dollars. You just paid Mulvaney $62,000.
Yeah.
What a cheap little prostitute Mulvaney is. So he then comes into this bureau that is supposed to protect consumers and goes, no, I'm corrupt. I'm just gonna say all that. They would have gotten you your money back, because it's illegal, and they would have gotten you your money back. And Mulvaney says, no, I don't represent you. I represent the bad guys. Yeah. So you're not gonna get your money back. All that hard work in pursuing justice and the rule of law, dropped it overnight, now admits he did drop it, it was him. Mm-hmm. And one of the women involved, one of the people involved said that she's a Trump voter and feels betrayed. And I feel bad because they said, I feel kind of stupid. But he told you that he was gonna get rid of the swamp. That was a huge reason you voted for him.
Yeah.
He was lying the whole time. He's a cheap, cheap politician, telling you pretty little lies that you wanted to hear. Then he gets into office and screws you because his donors and Mulvaney's donors wanted to keep their money, wanted to be able to rip you off. And by the way, they can continue to rip you off going forward.
Yeah.
So the rule of law will not be enforced as long as you're a donor to the Trump campaign and a Mick Mulvaney. It is grotesque.